Give us a few seconds before we go live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the live stream. Today we're going to talk about how to create a food plot for $14. I'm going to provide you guys with some information that's hopefully going to help you. Excuse me. It's hopefully going to help you, and I hope you guys follow along. Boom. Back live. Another Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Tuesday, we are live. I'm having trouble speaking, as you guys can see. I went to the Harrisburg show over the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I shook a bunch of people's hands, people coughing, sneezing, and I caught a head cold. I'm upset. It's the second time I've had a head cold in a month. I usually never, ever get sick. I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to give, get the chat out here. All right, we got the chat rolling. Let's see, we get that up here. All right. James Miller, best part of my Tuesdays. Much appreciated, man. Hunting with Preston. Yes, I am James Miller. I agree. James Miller, I have an alarm that is set to go off weekly so I don't miss this. Awesome, man. I appreciate that. 1972 David. What's up, Dave? What's going on, man? Hunting with Preston. What's up? So hopefully you guys are doing good. Hopefully you're doing better than I am. Please excuse my voice. I can barely speak. I have a head cold going on. As I just mentioned, I just got back from the Great American Outdoor Show. I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Met a bunch of you guys. Met a bunch of different people. Shook a lot of people's hands. People coughing, sneezing. There was thousands of people there, and caught a head cold. So hopefully it doesn't last too long. John Heiser, hey Dave, hope your head cold doesn't hang around too long. Thank you, man. Nate Stanton in the house. What's up, buddy? Ryan Hall, what's up, man? So this is what we're going to talk about tonight. Again, hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you guys have a good week. John Heiser, it was good to meet you at the Harrisburg show. I want to thank you guys. It was overwhelming. I was overwhelmed with the amount of people that came out to the AnaGrow booth at the Great American Outdoor Show, that came to say hi to me and to Jeff, one of the owners of AnaGrow. It was amazing, the amount of people that came in and said, hey, I've seen your videos on YouTube, or you've helped me do this, or you helped me do that. I've used this product before. It's amazing. And it was amazing, the amount of people that support myself and Jeff, and it was a great experience. So I want to thank you guys for the people that did come out. It's much appreciated. So the topic tonight is how to create a food plot for $14, and that's serious. I'm being dead serious about creating a food plot for $14. As we went through this show at the Harrisburg show, we got to talk to a lot of different people, tons and tons and tons of different people, and it was overwhelming with the amount of people that, and I'm not bashing these people. I'm trying to help these people. It was overwhelming with the amount of people that are disconnected on how nature works and how deer survive and what deer eat, on a daily basis. It was overwhelming. And what I mean by that is when we're at the booth and people are coming in, and it was either people like you guys that heard me talk about it before, or it was somebody brand new that have never heard about it. But as we're talking to people, people are so disconnected and think that they have to feed deer corn, dump corn in a pile, or dump something in a round circle on the ground for deer to survive. So think about that for a second. If we didn't dump something on the ground, are all the deer just going to die? They're just going to vanish if we don't dump something on the ground for them to eat? You have to use common sense and be realistic about that. Deer live by eating tonnage. Tonnage meaning green, leafy plants, natural browse that's already in the woods, that deer feed on a daily basis. They eat 5 to 7 pounds of it on a daily basis. Green and growing plants. That's how deer survive. Deer don't survive by eating something that you dump on the ground. Okay, we'll get into that later. But deer survive and thrive by eating green and growing plants on a daily basis. Tonnage, 5 to 7 pounds of tonnage per day. Okay, that's what they eat on a daily basis. So as we're talking to people and we mention natural browse, majority of people looked at us like we're crazy. They're like, natural browse? Like, what do you mean by natural browse? And it just blew me away, because people see stuff on television, okay? TV celebrity hunters that go to these farms not knowing that they pay to kill this 200-inch deer, that they go to these farms and they're hunting over a bucket of corn or something that they've dumped on the ground, and they see a 200-inch deer and they shoot it. That's not reality. Reality is me and you guys that are hunting small properties and hoping to kill a 120-inch deer or a 115-inch deer. That's reality. That's the average hunter. The average hunter isn't paying $40,000 or $30,000 to kill a 200-inch deer. That's not real life. Real life is hunting, 5 acres, 2 acres, 10 acres, 100 acres. That's real life. That's how deer survive. That's what we hope to shoot. So it was overwhelming when you mention natural browse to people and they look at you like you have 4 eyes. They have no clue what you're talking about. And I'm not bashing them people. We're helping these people. I'm no expert, but you have to use common sense. If we didn't dump all this stuff on the ground, ask yourself, if you don't dump something on the ground, are all the deer going to die? You know what I mean? Think about that. Natural browse has been around forever. It's what deer are naturally designed to eat on a daily basis. Depending where you are in the states, or in the world, you have shorter and longer growing seasons. So if you go down south, you have a longer growing season. You have green up for a longer period of time. Northern states, it does get tough in the wintertime when you get a lot of snow. If you have too many deer, you don't have enough food. I get it. But deer know how to survive. When all the leaves, when everything's green and growing, dies off, or if you have too many deer that eat all the green and growing plants, the buds and the leaves and everything off of everything, they then transition to woody browse. Woody browse, briars, the plants. You eat all the plants off, they start eating the stem down to the roots. Woody browse. They eat that on a daily basis. Okay? If there's snow on the ground, deer will dig the snow away to get down to the ground to find acorns, leaves. You know, deer will eat bark. A lot of people don't know that. Deer will eat bark off of a tree. This is how deer live. This is how they survive. Okay? This is what nature has designed them to do on a daily basis. And again, depending in the states where you're at, you have a shorter and longer growing season. Okay, think about that. A shorter and longer growing season. And think about green and growing plants. When I was a kid, and even now, or not so much now, but when I was a kid and I used to hunt public land, when I would scout public land, one of the first things you do is, one, you look on the ground for droppings, because where there's droppings at means the deer are feeding there. If you ever watch a deer eat, you know, they're eating, and as they're eating, within minutes, they poop it out. That's their natural, you know, digestive system. They eat and they poop. They eat and poop. That's what we do. So when you see droppings, it's a big indication that's where deer are eating and feeding and spending a lot of their time. Okay? So when you're driving through the woods or walking through the woods scouting, okay, the second thing you look for is the natural browse, where they're browsing at, where they're feeding. You see the plants, the buds, and the leaves are all chewed off and nipped off. The tops of briars are chewed off. Okay? That's two things you look for when you scout. Deer live by food and smell. Okay? That's two things. Water, you know, obviously they need water, but they'll get water from green and growing plants. Okay, there's a lot of water content in green and growing plants. So that's how deer live, through green and growing plants, natural browse, or man-made food plots. Man-made food plots is just a man-made browse, a man-made food plot. Okay? So when you scout, you are scouting to see where deer are feeding. You scout to see where deer bed. Okay? Deer are going to be spending a lot of time in certain areas feeding. So everybody on point? Everybody know where we're at here? So Ian Kirby, there's lots of stuff. There's over 700 different species. I don't know the exact number, but it's over 700 different species of natural browse that deer feed on a daily basis, depending what time of year it is. They will pick a certain species of plant and feed on that plant at different times of the year. Okay, so we're still on natural browse. Now, if you go back years, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, what kind of deer do you think they shot thousands of years ago? Huge bucks. And here's why. If you go to Maryland, okay, and you go to out west, western Maryland, Allegheny County, Garrett County, those counties in western Maryland have the poorest deer herd in Maryland. Why is that? That's because they've done studies and tests that shows the quality of forage, natural browse forage, in those areas is very poor because of the low mineral counts in the soil. The soils are so depleted that the browse is unhealthy. There's enough there for that browse to survive, but there's not enough there for the browse to thrive. Okay, it's just there. It's not up here. It's not down here. It's just in the middle. There's not enough of minerals in the dirt. When you go out Midwest, Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, Iowa, the soil content in the or the mineral content in the ground is much higher. So therefore, you have a higher nutritious plant. So therefore, you have bigger deer. That's why when people want to go kill a big buck, they go out Midwest. Okay? So what's changed? What's changed over the years? Why is the natural browse lower in nutritional value? The only thing that's changed over the years is the soil. It's the only thing that's changed. Yes, we have too many deer. You have bad buck to doe ratios. We don't have enough quality forage because we have too many deer. But why is the natural browse not as palatable? Why is it not as nutritious as it was years and years and years ago? The only thing that's changed is the soil. As years go on, people, farmers tilling up the soil, disking it up, opening up the soil. Those minerals get leached out. They're gone. As plants are there for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, those plants are constantly pulling minerals out of the soil that because they need it. They need those minerals to try to thrive. They're pulling all those minerals out of the dirt. They can only pull so many. There's nothing there. It gets less and less every single year. So when that happens, you get a less nutritious plant and less nutritious quality forage for wildlife. Okay, everybody with me? So again, it was overwhelming. With people are disconnected from that. They're disconnected from what deer eat. So with the quality forage being lower in minerals, okay, your miners, your mineral content, you have a less quality forage. Most natural browse falls below the level of 15% protein. A lot of it is low, 8%, 6%, 4%. Deer need roughly, depending what you read or what you hear about or studies that you do, most natural browse falls below that level. Deer roughly need, on a daily basis, 15% protein. They need to be eating, as nature intended, green and growing plants that have a protein level of roughly 15%. Most natural browse falls below that because there's no minerals in the soil to make that plant healthy. So, to my next point is, why are granular minerals, why do people use granular minerals? That's my next point. At the show, everybody that came to the booth said, "Oh, I want to dump minerals out on the ground because I want pictures. You know, when I dump something on the ground, I get pictures." Okay, I understand you want pictures, but let me jump into this. Somebody will probably get upset, but hear me out. Minerals, there's so many mineral companies, granular minerals. I'm not bashing any single one of them. I'm just trying to give you guys some facts. Minerals, granular minerals, are very, very cheap to make. Okay? They're on television shows. You see celebrities dumping minerals out and you grow deer. Okay? That's what you see. But the deer aren't growing from that mineral as you see on your trail camera. It's just that deer growing his antlers out. Okay? There's no silver bullet, okay, or anything that you can dump on the ground and all of a sudden grow trophy deer. Impossible. you're dumping something in a 2 or 3 foot, 4 foot round circle on the ground, okay? How many deer do you think are going to hit that? How many deer do you think if you take 400 acres, or let's say you take 100 acres, you dump something on the ground, how many deer do you think you are really benefiting from? Benefiting from that? 0. As human beings, if we want to gain weight, what do? We eat more tonnage. We eat more food. We eat more quality food. We eat more vegetables. We eat more protein. That's how we gain weight. It's the same with deer. It's the same with deer. Okay? There's nothing that you can dump on the ground to grow bigger deer. Okay? Minerals are cheap to make. They're cheap. That's why all these companies do it, because people are disconnected from nature. They're disconnected from what deer do on a daily basis, and that's eat tonnage. Okay? Tonnage. Food. Quality forage. That's why you see all these people, hunters, land managers, are doing food plots, prescribed fires, because when you do a prescribed fire, you get all that quality forage and forbs and new browse, that fresh, lush regrowth in those burned areas, because that's what deer eat. That's what makes them healthy. That's what they are designed to do. Okay? So, everybody with me? Nate, I want to try AnaGrow on a small property. Nate, go to the website. They have a special running for the next 6 days, I believe. Discount. David, has AnaGrow done a before and after test on natural browse to test protein and mineral levels of the plant before and after spraying of AnaGrow? 100%. 100%. I have the data on my phone from natural browse and food plots before and after spraying. It shows the mineral contents are upped in that plant, the protein levels, the digestible protein levels. It shows you in that plant. It's done. It's data. It's documented. It's researched. It's there. The numbers are there. There's not a single, listen to this, there's not a single scientist or biologist that can prove, that can show you numbers, that dumping something on the ground, as far as minerals or anything else, grows bigger deer. It's not there. There's no numbers. There's no numbers. There's no proof. But what they can say is that natural browse and or man-made food plots is the backbone to all healthy deer herds. Okay? Natural browse and food plots, man-made food plots, it's just browse that we're creating, is the backbone to all healthy deer herds. Okay? That's when a land manager or managing that property comes into play. It takes years and years and years. It's what you do this year will benefit next year on that property. It's not, there's no instant gratification. You can't dump something on the ground and expect to grow bigger deer. It's just not going to happen. Deer get bigger by giving them birthdays. Every year you let that deer go, and by eating quality tonnage, forage, forbs, natural browse, food plots. Okay? Everybody with me? There's no scientific data. No scientific data that dumping something on the ground works. There's no numbers for it. There's no data. as mentioned, as human beings, if we want to gain weight, we eat more food. We eat more tonnage of clean, healthy, quality food. Deer are the same way. Okay? Whew. So, what we're getting into now is the next step here. Okay? Yes, I promote AnaGrow. Actually, before I get into this, I have one other thing. Let me talk about this real quick. Think about how much a bag of corn costs. You're looking at roughly what? $7 for 50 pounds, $8 for 50 pounds. Corn basically has no nutritional value to deer other than some carbohydrates for some energy through the winter, blah, 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 blah. But corn doesn't naturally grow in the woods. Okay? And there's so much controversy with corn. If, deer were designed to eat corn, if you should feed deer corn, you shouldn't feed them corn, whatever. There's no nutritional value to deer. Think of all this protein powder and these crushed up pellets and mineral licks and all this other stuff that you pay for, that people pay for. You're spending what? $15, $20, $25, $30 for something that you're dumping in a 3-foot round circle. How many deer do you think you are benefiting by that? None. None. There's not any scientific data that it works. So, to my next point. Yes, I am a 100% advocate of AnaGrow. Forget the name AnaGrow. Okay, forget the name. What AnaGrow does is, as I've talked about, the minerals in the soil is so depleted and the natural browse is so poor it can't thrive. So AnaGrow is a liquid that you spray on the browse. You're giving the minerals, you're putting the minerals back into the plant that the soil is lacking. Therefore, you're making that browse healthier. You're upping the mineral content in that browse. You're upping the digestible proteins, which means more sticks to the ribs and less is pooped out. So therefore, you get body weight gains. It ups the protein content. So if you have a natural browse plant that is, say, 10% protein, over time of spraying that plant, you're building the nutritional value of that plant up and up and up and up. So you can double, if not triple, the amount of nutrition that's in that plant. And it doesn't leave. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays in that plant. So if a deer comes by and bites that leaf off, when that leaf grows back out, that leaf is now more lush. It's bigger. It's healthier. So now all of a sudden you created a bigger leaf, which then equals more tonnage. Okay? Are you guys following me? Placing minerals and or corn in a small circle area causes stress on the herd. That would be like a family of 5, all of us eating off the same dinner plate. It's stressful and does the same to the deer. I agree 100%. It's not natural. It's not natural to them. Deer are browsing animals. They walk through the woods. They take a bite here. They take a bite there, and they move on. They take another bite. They take another bite, and they move on. So you guys are spending you know, 15, 20, 25, $30 on something that you're dumping on the ground in a, just say, 100-acre piece of woods, what are you getting out of that? You're not getting anything other than wasting your money and throwing it on the dirt. Okay? Terry, how large of an area do you have to treat for it to grow big deer? If 3 bucks visit a trophy rock every day throughout the summer and it doesn't benefit their growth, why? Because there's no scientific data that it works. Deer don't lick minerals. I mean, they do. It's like a treat to them. But there's no scientific data that it works. Nothing. There's no numbers. If you take a trophy rock or whatever mineral and you dump it on the ground or put it on a log, where's the numbers at? What numbers can they show you that it grows big deer? If you look at minerals on the box or on the bag or whatever it is that you buy, it says on there, feed the deer for 2 to 3 years of this mineral every couple months and you'll see bigger deer. Think about that. If you use this product for 2 to 3 years, you'll see bigger bucks. If you don't do anything for 2 to 3 years, you're going to see bigger bucks if you don't kill them. Are you following me? If you don't do anything for 2 to 3 years, you'll see bigger bucks. If you give them birthdays, okay? There's no scientific data that it works. So, how many deer do you think you're benefiting by that? None, not many. So, instead of putting your money in these minerals and these protein stuff that you dump on the ground that all it does is get soggy and molds and causes stress, put it back into natural browse food plots. And this is where we're going to talk about creating a food plot for $14. Okay? Most people don't have implements to create a food plot. Okay? Most people don't have a four-wheeler. Most people don't have a tractor. But what most people do have is a weed whacker or a weed eater or some sort of mower. Okay? So, and I don't care if you buy it or not. I'm just trying to save you guys money and giving you real data that has numbers to back it up. I don't care if you buy it or not. I receive no benefit if you buy it. The only benefit that I get from you buying AnaGrow is that you're saving money. I'm helping you save money. And I'm helping you because you got people ask me questions about it all the time, and we're so disconnected from nature. So, if a buck licks on a mineral all summer, he'll have a bigger rack. Yeah, because he's growing. He grows all summer long. Doesn't mean the minerals are making him grow bigger. So, if you take $60, that's the price of AnaGrow. $60. But those $60 does 5 acres. 5 acres of natural browse or food plots. Okay? 5 acres. Not a 3-foot circle, but 5 acres. Okay? So instead of spending money on something that you dump on the ground that costs you $20, $25, $30, make yourself a $14 food plot. Because at $60, for 5 acres, it works out to $14 an acre. Okay? You don't need a food plot. You create a $14 food plot by spraying natural browse. You create a $14 food plot by taking a field that's just full of weeds and grasses, and you mow it down. And when that grows, and when that starts to grow back, that fresh, tender grasses and weeds, you spray it. Okay? You spray it. Then the deer, when they go back to eat it, they're eating a way more nutritious plant. Way more nutritious plant. Because you're not doing anything different. You're just making the food that they're already eating healthier. Does that make sense? So by $14 an acre, you're creating a natural food plot. You don't even have to the ground up, the plant. You don't have to plant anything different. If you just take any area and spray it, you're essentially creating a free food plot, really. $14 an acre food plot. Yes, if you want to get more out of it, you know, there are species of plants, food plot wise, that you can plant that's higher in protein and all that other stuff. But that bag of food plot that you're buying that says 30% protein in clover, well, guess what? When you actually plant that, it's not 30% protein in clover. You would have to have 100% perfect soil, fertilizer, micronutrients in the soil, minerals in the soil to get that plant to 30% protein. That's where AnaGrow is sprayed on there to give that plant the minerals that the soil is lacking. So therefore, every 2 months you spray. You're building that nutritional level up in that plant. So yes, over time, you're taking it from 10%. You spray it, boom, you're at 20%. Spray it again, boom, you're at 30%. Okay? That's how it works. That's how deer thrive. That's how deer live. That's what deer eat. I agree with you on that. Mother Nature provides better nutrition. I personally use them to attract them along with food plots. You're doing a great job and enjoy your videos. We talked to the Harrisburg show, and I'm looking forward to taking my weed eater for a walk this summer along with a back sprayer. Yes, 100%. How many times can you spray it on a field? As many as you want. More is not better. Who asked that? Starting traditions outdoors. More is not better. It's recommended you spray every 2 months. You can spray every month. So the reason you spray every 2 months is at the 2-month mark, through tissue samples and real data and numbers, at the 2-month mark, the numbers in that plant start to wane off. It starts to go down. So when you continue to spray every 2 months, you're keeping that nutritional value in that plant high. And you're going to keep it there through an even playing field all the way across. The more you spray through the spring and summer, every month and a half, 2 months, 3-4 times a year, the longer that nutrition is going to be locked in that plant for longer periods of time through the fall and into the winter. So when deer transition into woody browse, the nutrition's still there. It's already locked in the plant. It's already locked in there. You're just building it up. So if that plant doesn't need it, if it already has enough of that certain mineral, it just stores it. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't leave the plant. It goes down to the roots, up to the stem, the leaves, and everything. It just goes up and down through the plant. It locks it in that plant. It doesn't leave. doesn't get leached into the soil or anything like that. It stays in that plant. So you could take an old clear cut, an old logging road, whatever it is, and you can mow that down, you know, to a foot or, you know, 8 inches or 10 inches and spray it. You just created a $14 food plot that deer are going to hammer. They're going to receive huge amounts of mineral content, water content in that plant, the minerals, protein. They're going to hammer it, and they're getting higher nutrition forage that they're already designed to eat on a daily basis. Randy, I'm not going to argue with you, buddy. I understand you want to disagree. That's fine. If a buck gets mineral from a rock that the native plants don't have, he will have a bigger wreck. That's fine. You can have your opinion. But I can say I 100% disagree with you. So, yeah, as we were talking to John, one of the gentlemen watching now, he come over to the booth, and we talked to him for a while. He ended up buying some stuff, and he has an old clear cut, I believe it was, or it might have been a logging road, that the weeds have grown up, briars and honeysuckles, I believe he said in there. And what he's going to do is he's going to get himself and a couple buddies with a couple weed whackers, and we're going to go in there and kind of mow that down and encourage that fresh growth in there, and he's going to spray it. So he's going to create, I can't remember how big it is, but he's going to create basically a $14 an acre food plot of all the minerals that deer need and all the minerals that plants need to thrive. What is the best thing in the woods to spray? Honeysuckle. I guess I'm going to have to order some and try it. Anything. What you do is there's over 700 different species of plants that deer feed on. So what you want to do is find out what the deer are already eating in your area, because deer will eat certain types of plants at different times of years, different time of the year. They'll eat different plant species. They love honeysuckles. Down in Florida, where AnaGrow is based out of, at their test facility, they have ragweed. Ragweed is very high in protein levels. It's like 15% protein without even being sprayed. So when they spray the ragweed, now all of a sudden they've taken it to 20%, 25%, 30%. And when they spray it, the deer hammer it even more than they did. Deer will seek out the most nutritional food source in your area. They know what they're doing, you know, that they live there. They know what they're doing. They will seek out the most nutritional plant in that area. John, have to buy a gallon if you can. It doesn't go bad. I bought a backpack sprayer from Harbor Freight. Yeah, it doesn't go bad. Your value is in the gallon. Currently, it's at $60 because of the show, the Harrisburg show. So that equals out to $14 an acre. After the show's over, it goes back to $79. But then you're still only talking $17 an acre. But it's always free shipping. It never goes bad. It does not go bad. It won't freeze. You can keep it outside. It's not going to freeze. There's no shelf life. It doesn't go bad. They have taken a solid into a liquid. There's only like 6 people in the world that can do that know how to make it. It's not made in a bathtub. It's on a 14-acre facility in Florida. It's made in 1,000-gallon tanks. Okay? There's like 6 people in the world that know how to make it. What's funny is when you go to the trade shows, particularly the ATA show, you have other mineral companies coming into the booth, confused as heck on how you're taking a solid and turning it into a liquid. They were trying to get information on how to make it. They can't figure it out, and they're not going to. There's only 6 people that know how. Other mineral companies came to the booth trying to pry information on how to make it. That tells you something. Terry, I used AnaGrow for the first time last season. I've seen the results on the attraction and intake from deer. I sprayed it on everything and the deer ate it. It works on attraction. Yes, because the attractability part is there because you're creating a healthier, more palatable plant. So when you're creating a more healthier, more palatable plant, deer will seek that out. They will seek that out. I don't care. I'm going to have to block somebody. I don't care if you buy it or not. But this is for the people that want information based on common sense and a product that can show you real numbers. It's not just used for the hunting industry. Their main avenue is agricultural. Okay? If it was a gimmick, like a lot of stuff is, if it was a gimmick, ranchers wouldn't be buying 250-gallon totes to spray their ranches of 10, 20, 30, 40,000 acres. Okay? There's, I believe, 12 semi-trucks. There's 12 semi-trucks at the facility that deliver this stuff to ranchers. Okay? In 250-gallon totes. It's shipped off to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 acre ranches that they're using because there's real numbers with it. It's micronutrition. There's real numbers. There's data to back it up. There's numbers to back it up. So with the cattle industry, a lot of cattle industries are now organic. They can't use fertilizer. They can't use other stuff to feed the cows because the USDA and the inspections that they have, they can't do it if they want to go that route. AnaGrow doesn't necessarily affect that. They can still use it. No, Randy, it's not. It's not GMO. Ranches are using it because they can, because it's not a fertilizer. It's not a fertilizer. And they're using it on the cattle industry because in their hay fields, their alfalfa fields, their clover fields, they're spraying clover and hay fields, and they're getting 2 to 3 extra cuts out of that field. So think about what that does for a farmer. If he's selling hay, okay? Hay, I can't say that. If he's selling hay, okay, think about what that does for his yield. If he can get 2 to 3 extra cuts out of that, he just made his money back, plus some. Farmers are cutting their fertilizer costs in half because of this product, because they're giving the plants what they need because the soil is lacking it. When you spread a granular fertilizer on the ground, okay, think of gravity. How much of that do you think the plants are actually ingesting? Gravity goes down, not up. Yes, you use fertilizer, okay? But fertilizer and micronutrients are not even in the same category. They're fertilizer, NPK, is your majors. Micronutrition is your minors. Okay, two completely different things. It's more important to have micronutrient. Yes, it's still important for your NPK for root growth, but the NPK is for eye appeal, is for the greening effect. So now you have a bunch of companies. This was another thing. People would come to the booth and say, "Oh, I can buy this product." You know, a lot of companies sell it. Not true. What they're referring to is other companies that claim to be a micronutrition package. But if you look at it, 95% of that package is fertilizer with a very small, minute amount of micronutrition. And it's only like typically like 2 minerals like zinc or copper, something like that. AnaGrow is the only company that offers a 100%, no fillers, nothing like that, 100% micronutrition package that's available to us, the average person. There's no other product out there. Yes, there are some other micronutrition packages, but they typically only have like 2 minerals in them. AnaGrow has tons of minerals in it that are required for plant growth, body health, milk production, antler growth, etc. So farmers are spending all this money on AnaGrow for their hundreds of thousands of acres because they're increasing that tonnage of their hay fields and their alfalfa and their clover. It's making cows gain weight naturally by eating more tonnage and healthier tonnage, more digestible proteins, which means more stick to the ribs. Big Beats Music. What's the biggest deer you ever killed? 182 inches. 182-inch deer. So farmers are using it. The cattle industry, the agricultural side. James, so would this benefit my vegetable garden as well? Yes. It can be sprayed on anything that you can think of that's green and growing. Anything. Roses, fruits, fruit trees, apple trees, orange trees, mango trees. I'm going to tell you a story real quick too about mango trees. Apple trees, vegetables, tomatoes, pumpkins. There's a guy that come in the booth that grows 4, 5, 6, I don't even know, 100-pound pumpkins. And he does that tissue samples. He's looking for the mineral content in that pumpkin, in the leaves. So he bought AnaGrow to increase that mineral content in that plant, in his pumpkins. You know, people are into that. People grow these pumpkins and these watermelons and all this other stuff, and it's a full-time job when you get into that because you're testing the tissue samples every day or every other day or every week to see what the mineral content is in those leaves. I mean, you can get way beyond my even knowledge on that. I mean, you can just go on for days. But the fact is, nothing works overnight. Okay? Nothing works overnight. There's no instant gratification with anything. There's nothing. There's nothing in the world that you can spray or dump on the ground that's going to grow deer overnight. It's impossible. It takes years and years and years and years and years. It's what you do this year that will benefit next year. And I am no expert. I'm no biologist or anything like that. I'm giving you common sense knowledge, experience, and real numbers, real data with real research and science behind it. I'm not against minerals that you dump on the ground. If you guys want to dump minerals on the ground and dump corn on the ground, I use corn. Okay? I'll sprinkle some corn out. If you want to dump minerals, if you want to buy a bucket of something or protein pellets, if you guys want to use that, by all means, go for it. I'm not trashing that. I'm just saying there's no numbers and there's nobody out there that can say that it works scientifically because there's no numbers for it. Okay? There's no numbers for it. If a TV show or a celebrity says that it grows bigger deer, it's because they're getting paid to. And you have to use what you believe in. If you believe that a mineral that you dump on the ground grows bigger deer, and you're set on that, by all means, I'm happy for you. You have to believe in what you use. Okay? It's your money. You have to put it where you want. So if you want to do that, by all means, go for it. If you don't, that's fine too. I support whatever decision that you make. Parker, have you ever tried the peanut butter on a tree trick? No. I have no interest in using peanut butter on a tree because it's not going to benefit anything. Deer aren't meant to eat peanut butter. So you guys are more than welcome, to use whatever you want. And I used minerals that you dump on the ground for years because I didn't know any better. If you ask a person or anybody that uses minerals on the ground, their first response is, well, I get pictures. That's always their first response. Very rarely do they say, well, I'm dumping minerals on the ground because I know that it's growing bigger deer. Their answer is, it's because I get pictures. And that's fine. If you want to use that to get pictures, that's fine. But you can get just as many pictures as putting a camera on a healthy food source and watch deer eat it that way. Okay? So you guys can use whatever you want. I support whatever that you use. I'm just trying to help you guys out. And I used minerals because I didn't know any better. I did it because I thought that I was helping. I thought that I was helping. And it's the hype to dump minerals. First thing in the spring, everybody, I got to get my minerals out. I don't know. It's up to you guys. James Miller, mango tree, yes. In the booth, I was with Gunner and Jeff. They both live in Florida. I was hanging out with them in the booth. Gunner, I believe it was his neighbor that had a mango tree in Florida. I could be saying the story a little bit off because I don't 100% remember it. But the results is what's important. These mango trees were not producing any fruit. They weren't producing anything. So Gunner wanted some mangoes. So he talked his neighbor into spraying that mango tree with AnaGrow. He sprayed the tree And literally within like a month, all these buds and everything are coming out and growing mangoes. The tree never grew mangoes because it was lacking whatever it was lacking as far as mineral content goes. It just would not produce. I don't know if it was a few mangoes or none at all, but he sprayed it. Next thing you know, within a couple months, all these mangoes are growing on this tree, and the branches are breaking because the mangoes are so big and heavy. The branches are breaking. Apple trees. We're in the booth with Hup Outfitters. Hup Outfitters is a outfitting business for deer and turkey, I believe, in Ohio. They have apple trees. They're spraying apple trees, and the apples are getting so big and lush, and so many of them, branches on the apple trees are breaking because they're so healthy. You're giving that tree the nutritional value that it needs to thrive. What are your thoughts on the product Shockwave, the product Keith Warren promotes? I know Keith Warren, not personally, but I know who he is. I've never heard of Shockwave. I don't know what that is. So, that's going to wrap it up, guys. Again, thank you for watching. I support whatever you guys want to use. I have no issues with it. Just trying to help you guys out. Save money and put money where common sense tells you to put it. And remember that deer are browsing animals. They live by their nose and their bellies. They seek out the most nutritional food source every single day. That's how they live. For human beings to gain weight, we eat tonnage. We consume more food, healthier food, higher protein levels. Deer are the same way. Deer get bigger by consuming healthier food and more tonnage. They eat 5 to 7 pounds of it every single day. As human beings, we like eating ice cream. Okay? We like eating ice cream. It's a treat to us. It's the same thing when you dump something on the ground. It's like ice cream. It's like sugar. They eat it. But it doesn't mean that they're benefiting from it. Putting man-made stuff on the ground, in my opinion, is more harmful than it is helpful. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Got a new video coming out tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, Wednesday. And then I'll see you guys back here next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.